Hello, welcome back to the Strong, Healthy, Happy podcast. My name is Debra. I am your host. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking all about the winter, how to still maintain good health and continue making progress towards your goals, support your weight loss goal, and the difficulties that you may face trying to achieve these goals during the winter when it becomes much harder. There are many challenges that you might face, and I'm going to try and help you overcome them so that you can continue feeling your best no matter the weather, no matter the challenges that you face with winter very fast approaching. And I'm going to be talking about that in my podcast episode today. Now, I've broken it down into 4 sections, and the areas that I'm going to cover are movement and exercise. I'm going to talk about your nutrition. I'm going to talk about your mental well-being and sleep. And I'm going to finish off by talking about your expectations and consistency. So by the end of this podcast, I'm hoping you're going to have a lot more awareness and tools to be able to continue progressing towards your goals during the winter. Now, I do want to just say that you might be listening to this podcast and you may be in sunny climates, and well done, lucky you. But I am recording this from the UK. We have seasons. We are now in our autumnal season. We've been experiencing lots of rain. Our clocks are going to be changing soon, and so the evenings are getting very dark, as are the mornings, and we are faced with many challenges when it comes to maintaining good health, making improvements, continuing to make progress towards our goal, lose weight, build strength, whatever your goal might be, just to generally feel better. It does become a lot harder when we're faced with challenges going through the winter. Now, it is absolutely possible to continue making progress no matter the challenges that you face, but being realistic and approaching them in a more realistic way is going to really set you up. So let's talk about nutrition first of all. Now, in the summer months, we tend to eat a lot more fruit, a lot more salads, but now the temperature is dropping. Many of us are starting to put the heating on, and we generally walk around feeling cold all of the time. A salad may no longer cut it for you. Whereas before you were quite happy to have a salad at lunchtime, now the thought of a salad just fills you with dread. And you might be craving more comforting foods, more warming foods, more hearty foods. And that's absolutely fine because you can actually enjoy those types of foods during the winter and still make progress, and recognize that a salad might not be something that appeals to you. And I will come back onto salads because there are salads and then there are salads. And I want you to have the salads because we can make those much more warming and hearty. But generally, the food that's going to keep you full, that is delicious, that is warming, gives you nourishment and comfort, is going to look different during the colder months. And this is where we may swap salads for soups. So you're still getting in your intake of vegetables. You may turn to using your slow cooker, cooking casseroles, stews, and other warming, hearty foods. You may want more things like sausages and mash, and those types of more hearty foods that leave you much more contented and full. Can you still enjoy those foods and make progress towards a weight loss goal? Yes, you can. You still need to be mindful of your portion sizes and also how you're filling your plate. I've talked about filling your plate on previous podcasts. And basically filling your plate is the ratio of the different types of food and how much space they take up on your plate. And as a rough guide, when it comes to vegetables or salad or fruit, you want them to take up a good half a space on your plate. You're going to get lots of nutrients from those vegetables. They're going to fill you up and are going to be very low calorie. So if weight loss is your goal, it's very smart. They are full of fiber. They are going to keep you full. They are very nourishing. and the rest of your plate, another quarter of your plate, will be a protein source. The other quarter will be a carbohydrate, like one of your starchy carbs, and then a very small amount on your plate will come from fats. And this is generally how you would create a balanced meal. And you can still do that when the weather gets cold. So we want to switch up your usual food choices. Now, when it comes to vegetables, please don't just think of, broccoli or boiled cabbage. Like, there are so many varieties of veg, and you can really get a bit more creative and a bit more make your veg a lot more interesting. Think about what vegetables are in season. So this time of the year, you've got all your different squashes, you've got carrots, you've got beetroot, you've got a multitude of all different types of veg. You've got swede, you've got parsnip, you've got sweet potato, you've got butternut squash, you've got all your usual beans and broccolis and cabbage and aubergine and all the other varieties of fruit. There are loads. I can't name them all. But when it comes to your veg, you want to try and include a nice wide variety. Think about the colors. You want to mix them up because different colored veg gives you different nutrients. And think about how you're going to cook those veg. Think about roasting, baking, air frying. You don't have to just boil your veg and have them as bog standard veg. You can get a great selection of vegetables and you can roast them. If you're watching your calories, you can always use spray oil instead of your usual oils. You can season them up and you can start creating lots of delicious vegetables. You can mix them into your meals and cooking as well. Also think about beans and lentils and whole grains and how you can add them to your usual recipes. So even something like a bolognese, instead of just doing a bog standard bolognese, you could add some lentils, green lentils, or whatever your lentils of choice is to that meal. It can be any meal. So start to think about what you can add. Remember, when we're looking to lose weight and we're looking to improve our health, it's not about looking at all the things we can't have. It's about adding and improving the quality of the food that you're eating. So think less about taking away and think more about what can I add to this meal, no matter if it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. What can I add to this meal to improve the quality of the food that I'm eating? Manage my calories, be as calorie efficient as possible, but create warming, hearty, comforting food that will keep you full and comforted during the winter months. I'm just looking up now. Let's go back to salads. So you can still enjoy a salad in the winter, right? Think about mixing up your lettuce leaves. Think about those dark leafy leaves as well as your other typical lettuce leaves. Think about that if you roasted a whole tray of vegetables, you could add them into your salad. So your salad becomes a bit more chunky, a bit more warming. You could add warm veg to your salad. Thinking about what you can add in and what is seasonal that can bump up your salads. So it's not just a limp iceberg, lettuce leaf, tomato, and cucumber. Think about what you can add. Also think about your pickled vegetables in jars. They also really do jazz up a salad if the salad is something that you're having. Now, soups are a really great one because you hit your vegetable requirement, and then alongside that soup, you can have something else that is your protein base and perhaps your starchy carb. You don't always need to include carbs in all of your meals. But if you choose not to, often a nice big bowl of soup and something protein on the side can really hit the spot at lunchtime. But you want to create substantial meals that keep you full and reduce your likelihood of snacking in between those meals. And you want to be eating 3 meals a day, ideally at regular meal timings, whatever suits you and the way that you live your life and your working commitments and family commitments. When you stick to regular meal times, it helps you regulate and manage your hunger and regulate your appetite a lot better and keep you full and satisfied and less likely to snack. So therefore, it's going to be very supportive of your goal. Now, I've talked about vegetables. Let's talk about fruit. So another really big tip I have when it comes for fruit is you may not always fancy like a cold piece of fruit, whatever it might be. So think about making stewed fruit. Think about heating fruit. So if you're using, say, frozen berries, stick them in the microwave, add them warm onto your yogurt or your porridge. You could stew apples, plums, rhubarb. And then you've got warm, hot fruit that now becomes more of a meal and more filling. Think about adding your protein to that fruit, your Greek yogurt, your yogurt of choice. Sprinkle with a few nuts, something that makes it much more hearty and delicious and hits your nutrition requirements, and that you can manage as part of your weight loss nutritional goals. So you can absolutely achieve this. Okay, let's move on to exercise and movement, because as I completely recognize that it gets harder to get your steps in when it's dark outside, it's cold, we've had a lot of rain, and the weather is awful. We may even see snow, and that can also impact your ability to get out. Now, I totally understand that your environment plays a huge part in you getting outside and moving a lot more and being outside in general. It does get harder, there's no doubt about it. Now, there's a few things to consider here so that you can try and overcome these challenges the very best you can. Now, your steps may be lower in the winter. We have to, look at that in a realistic way. But this is the sort of things that I would advise you. First of all, your personal safety matters. So, would I want any person to be going out late at night on their own? Maybe where the streets are less populated, they're a bit more quiet, and potentially you may feel unsafe walking by yourself at night to get your steps in. I wouldn't want anyone to risk their personal safety. So it's very important that you be mindful of that. And I have to kind of say these things because I wouldn't want anyone to put themselves at risk to get steps in. There are things you can do. You can buddy up with a couple of friends and see if you can all meet and get some steps in during the evening. It's going to be a lot more sociable and enjoyable and safer. You could also look at the time of the day that you're able to get your steps in. So whereas in the summer you were able to go out for an evening walk, maybe that's not possible to you now. So look at where you can move that walk to. Does it mean you do shorter walks, but maybe a couple of 2 or 3 shorter walks in a day, and perhaps get one in before work and then maybe at lunchtime, and whether you can meet some friends in the evening or go out with a partner. You have to look at what works for you, but it might look different, most likely, to how you've been doing it in the summer. And that's okay. Be open to the change. Be open to be rescheduling the times that you normally do things to a different time, because the seasons have changed. Your environment has changed. And along with that, we have to be open to change as well. Don't be stubborn to think that, oh, I can't walk in the evening when I normally do, so I'm not going to walk at all, because that's an all or nothing mindset. And I want you to be open to thinking, what can I do, as opposed to what can't I do? We know that it's going to be harder. We know that it's not going to be as appealing, but it doesn't mean that we don't do something. We need to look at ways to overcome it to the very best of our ability. Now, the other thing that you can think of is, if you are currently using a gym to do your exercise, you could always jump on a treadmill at the end of your workout and get some steps in on the treadmill. You don't want to do the treadmill, you could use the bike, you could go on a rowing machine, you could go on any of the cardiovascular equipment in the gym. It doesn't matter whether they're accumulated as steps and measured as steps on your activity watch or not. At the end of the day, all movement is good movement. And in order to increase your energy expenditure each day, moving as much as possible is going to be supporting that. How you move really doesn't matter. Just do as much movement as you can. And alongside this as well, think about really simple ways to increase your steps. So if you drive to work, can you park a little bit further away that you have to then walk a 5-10 minute walk to get into work? If you go on the train, can you get off the station earlier and walk the last bit? Sometimes the stations might be distance on the train, but when you actually walk it, it's just round the corner. So think about, can you get off a stop early? When you're doing daily chores or weekly chores, like going to the supermarket or the gym, don't park as close to the gym as possible. Park as far away as possible, or the supermarket. Encourage yourself to walk. And that way you're going to be increasing your steps. How active are you in your home? If you are downstairs and you're in your kitchen or doing whatever it is that you're doing and you need the toilet and you have a toilet upstairs, go upstairs. If you're upstairs, can you go to the toilet downstairs? If you're working from home, don't make things easy for yourself. If you have to take things up the stairs, the laundry, all the bits and pieces everyone leaves lying around, do it in more than one journey. Go up and down the stairs a few times. Think about moving. Remember, steps is accumulated from all movement, housework, cooking, just moving, clapping your hands. Just any movement is going to be good movement. Now, some people have a walking pad. I've never used one myself. They were all the rage in lockdown. I don't know how much they cost, but I think I don't think they're extortionate. And a walking pad might be something that you want to get. It's something you can jump on and do in front of the TV. And depending on your space and finances, you could also look at getting something like a stationary bike, or something like that, just for you to keep movement up within the home. But if you have access to a gym, you can definitely do this and add it on at the end of your weight session. I would always recommend adding the cardio at the end. So there's a few suggestions for you in how to overcome it. Now, when it's raining, like, I totally get that you look outside and your heart sinks and you think, God, maybe the dog hasn't been out yet, or you haven't been out yet, and you really want to get out, but the rain is relentless. Sometimes you got to just be brave and you got to just get your raincoat on, put a baseball cap on or a hood, and just get yourself out. You're going to get wet. It's not going to be like walking in shorts and a t-shirt on a hot sunny day, but getting outside and having that daylight exposure is so beneficial and needed for your mental well-being and your mood. And this is what I'm going to now move on to, which is the next sort of area of this podcast, and that's your mental well-being and sleep. But if we talk about mental well-being, if you're in the UK or zones near the UK where you now have shorter daylight hours, which you tend to have in the winter, you wake up, it's dark, you come home from work or you pick the kids up and, there's no going to the park after school anymore. It's dark. Being in the dark and it hitting us so early on in the morning and then again in the afternoon can really lead to a drop in mood. And it is really important to try and get out in daylight hours as much as you possibly can within the life that you lead and the commitments that you have. A lot of people these days suffer from SAD, which is, lack of natural light and sunlight, and use like a therapy lamp. If that's something that you do struggle with, it might be something you want to consider getting for yourself. I know other people who jump on sunbeds just to get that bit of UVA. I don't know loads about that, but if it's something that you struggle with, you probably know more about it than me. But in terms of getting outside in daylight, this is where you absorb vitamin C. This is a vitamin D, sorry, and this is where it benefits your mental health and your mood and your mental well-being. So trying to get out as much as possible, and it might be that you're very disciplined and that you plan and schedule those lunchtime walks. If you're at work, tear yourself away from your desk. You'll come back to your desk so much more productive and in a much better mood with a lot more energy than if you try and plow through your lunch times working. Really do set that time aside, block it out in your diary and know that that's what you're going to do. We want to keep your mood in as good place as possible during the winter months. And a lot of us can experience low mood. So really do try and get out as much as possible and to support feeling good. And as cliche as that sound, feeling good is a result of the mood that you feel. So I don't want your mood to drop, because if your mood lowers, this is when it's very likely that you will seek comfort from having that low mood. And often the way that you will seek comfort will come from food. And if your goal is a weight loss goal, it's not going to be very conducive to your goal. And, whilst food does provide us with comfort, we don't want to be using food as a comfort all of the time. We want to try and manage our mood. And the way to do that is to make sure that you're moving and you're getting outside. So really do try and prioritize those things. Now, sleep is a really big one. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's winter, summer, any season. We need sufficient sleep in order to function and to feel our best. Even just one night of poor quality sleep leads to us feeling low mood, lack of energy. It can impact our feelings of hunger, where you'll experience more hunger because you feel low energy. Your body is sending you a message and driving you to get more energy by looking for food and eating food. You're less likely notice feelings of fullness as well. And so it really does impact you if your goal is a weight loss and health goal. So we want to manage sleep as best as we can. And also putting your goals to one side. No one feels good after a poor night's sleep. And if they're accumulating, it's the way that you feel is going to get worse and worse and worse. So we want to try and manage sleep. And the way that we can do this is to set yourself a regular bedtime and stay consistent with it, and also set a regular wake time so that you're going to bed and waking up at similar times, especially Monday to Friday, and perhaps within an hour of those same times over a weekend. And trying to encourage to get between 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night. I mean, 6 is a minimum. Ideally, we want to get nearer that 8, but I recognize that's not always possible. Those of you struggling with sleep due to menopause, your sleep may be impacted with symptoms, night sweats, etc. So really do try and set yourself up for a good night's sleep by setting the bedtime wake time, giving yourself sufficient wind down time, not sitting in bed scrolling on your phone right up until you turn the light off and go to bed. It's not a nice way to go to sleep. It's not relaxing. It can be very triggering, especially if you see things on social media that give you FOMO. Maybe you weren't invited to somewhere and they're all sharing their pictures on social media. It's not how you want to go to bed. So give yourself wind down time, read a book, do some relaxation, do some breathing, make sure that your room is nice and cozy and gives you the environment, the feeling that you want to get into bed and go to sleep, and really try and prioritize your sleep. Now, lastly, our last topic is expectations and consistency. You need to be realistic with the goals that you're setting yourself. It might be that your step count is a little lower during the winter. That's okay. We have to manage nutrition alongside that if your goal is weight loss, but we have to set realistic expectations. One of the big beliefs in my coaching is to always set my clients up for success. I never want to set them up to fail. I would always advise them to under-promise and over-deliver rather than over-promise and under-deliver. It's not a nice feeling. I want everybody to feel self-accomplishment from doing what it is that they set themselves out to do, whether that's daily, weekly, whatever it might be. So it's really important to set realistic expectations and also think about doing things at different times. Like I said earlier on, when are the barriers lower for you to get to the gym? Do you want to still go to the gym after a long day at work and you come out of work and it's dark and it makes it harder to get there? Would you be better off going first thing in the morning, getting it done, getting it out the way? There's no right or wrong, but these are things that you need to think about. And if you are going straight from work, have your kit with you, go straight to the gym. Don't go home. The likelihood is you're not going to want to go out again. You're going to want to nest and be cozy and sit on the sofa and relax and watch TV. You're not going to want to go anywhere because it's cold, dark, and miserable. So think about how you can be realistic and set those expectations where you underpromise and at the minimum, at the least, deliver on what you said you were going to do. And if you can, over deliver. Remember, you're looking to be consistent. Never looking for perfection. You hear me say that a lot. just want you to be consistent, not perfect, and to always do the best you can, regardless of the situation that you are in. I want you to set yourself up with realistic expectations so that you can be consistent as possible. I want you to be able to keep your enthusiasm as high as possible, your mood as high as possible, so that you're able to continue and stay being motivated to keep working towards your goal through the winter. I hope you found this helpful. My last and final tip, actually, just while I think of it, is if you're doing a lot of these things to support your health by yourself, get your friend involved, get your partner involved, get whoever you can involved. It's a lot more enjoyable if you know you're meeting someone to go for that walk, or you're going to the gym and your friend is meeting you there. So you can't possibly not turn up because they're going to be there waiting for you. It helps. It's a really big help. So buddy up. And if you intend to go to the gym, announce it to your partner or your friend or your mum and say, I'm going to the gym today. So that she then, or he or whoever it is, might say to you, how was the gym? And you want to be able to reply, oh, it was great. It was really good. I didn't want to go, but I did go and it was really great. And I'm so glad I went. So announce it. It helps keep you more accountable. And they're my tips for how to maintain good health, continue progressing towards your goals through the winter when things become challenging and more difficult. If you have any questions, you know you can reach out to me. Please contact me via my social media. All details of my contact details are in the show notes. And if you're listening to this and you do want to convince a friend to join you on those walks, share this podcast episode with them and share me with your friends, because I have over 60 episodes recorded, all helpful episodes to support women improve their health, feel better, and progress towards their weight loss goal. They are free, these podcasts, and I want to be able to reach as many women as possible. And you sharing my podcast will help me achieve that. And finally, if you haven't already followed the show, please do, and leave me a review. Your feedback goes a very long way in my podcast being more available and reachable to other women looking to improve their health, feel good, and achieve their goals. Thank you very much, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.